Price, can we get an attendance roll call, please?
Mrs. Beamish.
Here.
Mr. Hefner.
Here.
Mr. Lucas.
Here.
Mrs. Reeves.
Here.
Mr. Trussell.
Here.
First on our agenda is we have 3 presentations tonight. Mr. Herman, I'll let you go ahead and introduce those who are presenting.
Mrs. McIntosh is going to go first. She's going to just talk about the London trip that we just came back from. I have not seen it myself, so I don't know what we're exactly going to show, but I can tell you that Kathy and the band work extremely hard year round, without a doubt. I mean, you compare them to other groups and they work their tails off. I mean, they really do a great job. So I'm sure we're going to see some good things.
I just thought we should come back and kind of finish up the whole London trip. So we have a little video presentation, but before that, I just want to tell you we had 87 students go, almost 50 adults. Our hotel was across the bridge from Big Ben. It couldn't have been in a better spot. We had no problems except it poured on parade day. It poured on parade day. And once we got back to Atlanta, trying to go from Atlanta to Dayton, my flight had a little problem because we had 70 in our group and they brought a plane that only held 65 people. So we had a little problem with Delta, but we got it worked out, and that was the only glitch of the whole trip. So we have a little video for you, and Mr. Moore.
So we brought all the same people back, though, right?
We did.
All right, good.
Yes. Maybe. Might be alive. Now it's ready, maybe. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what we did, and we typically left the hotel at 7 in the morning, didn't get back until 11 o'clock at night. I think the parents were a little tired, but we all had a great time. So thank you again for allowing us to go and do it.
You said 87 students went?
87.
How many members didn't have an opportunity to go?
They all have the opportunity to go, but there's all different reasons why they don't want to participate. Some of them have actually been there and don't want to go. Some felt like they couldn't afford it.
Sure.
Some people, you know, they were already going on another trip at that time. There's all different kinds of family situations. But any student who wanted to go, we made sure that they got there somehow.
So how many are in your total?
We have approximately 145, 150 that had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty typical of what we've been taking the last couple of trips, so.
So a trip like that with these band members, how do you deal with the baggage going over there with all their uniforms and equipment?
It was fun. It was fun. We had to ship all the instruments ahead of time.
Oh, really?
And then we got them back later, so. The time before, we actually took every instrument on the plane with us. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So we got to ship them through DHL this time, so that helped a lot. But it's a good challenge.
Right.
Just keeping track of the passports is a good challenge sometimes. So
It's a great experience for the kids,
it is.
definitely.
It is.
Thanks for your
Thanks.
time and commitment, because that's a huge task to coordinate all that, coordinating the parents, the chaperones, so I'm sure the kids appreciate it.
I hope they do. It was fun. We had a great time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks.
Mrs. Roberts? Mrs. Roberts is going to talk about the archery team, junior high archery team qualified for nationals, correct? And she's been in archery 8 years?
Not
Something like
9, but actually
nine?
9 competed 8, so you're real close. on
Had a lot of
that.
students go through the program, and there's some that have graduated. I believe one came to our board meeting last year, talking about they had a scholarship or something going on to, I think maybe Cumberland?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When we started this back in 2006 with our physical education program, we never imagined that it would go this long, this far, and this big. I've coached for 30 years. This is my 30th year, and I've coached about every sport that you coach for girls. And archery, these kids are dedicated, these parents are dedicated. If we go to Louisville, Kentucky, every parent will come with them, every grandparent will go with them. They drive us nuts on wanting to practice all the time. It doesn't matter what hour of the morning or night, they want to be there. So very enthusiastic group that we're dealing with. I'm also proud to say that we're dealing with kids from a variety of backgrounds. So they're not necessarily your traditional athlete, although we do have some of those on our team. But they might be somebody who's never competed, period, in anything. And they're excited to be there on the team. Back in 2006, we got a good start by Troy Fish and Game kind of sponsored us and gave us the money to get started. It took about $10,000 to get started for the targets and the bows and all the equipment that we needed. And I'm happy to say that we are self-supportive. Last year, we started a booster organization for the archery parents. Actually, the archery parents came to us and said, what can we do to help? And they went out and have done some fundraisers to try to raise money to help support us. So it's worked really, really well with the support from Troy Fish and Game and through our parent organization. We've been very successful every year that we've went since we started in PE classes in 2006. 2007, we actually started a team. 3 years later, the high school started a team. The teams are coached by Jeff Olden and myself for the junior high and Tim Anderson for the high school. And I just was sitting down, Eric was asking me some questions about, our team. And I sat down and I thought, gosh, how many people have been impacted by archery over the years? And I got over 10,000. I mean, I took the kids in gym class that we have. We have several a year that we teach to the PE students. And then we ask anybody who's interested to come out to the club and the high school, between the kids that they teach. We've touched a lot of lives through archery. Every year we have to have a tryout. Only 24 kids can compete at a time. So the kids can all be on the team, but we can only take 24 to compete. So sometimes we go to state with our 24 kids, and maybe when we go to nationals, 3 kids can't make it. Well, those kids that continue to practice, they step up and they fill those places. Sometimes they even maybe didn't get to compete at the junior high, but they made it to the high school level, and they were good enough shooters to be on the team. Our shooters are very good. The teams that are ahead of us, they have their own archery ranges that they've built. Miggs and Maysville down there, it is their #1 sport. It's bigger than basketball and football down there. They take it very seriously. And we got to compete against 300 is the highest score that you can get. And these kids that are at the top are 290s. We had one kid shoot the middle out of the target, and they actually had to replace the target because he's bullseye every time. Our #1 kid, we had Christine Mosier, was 33rd out of 688 girls. She's an 8th grader. Lauren Zalesky was 68 out of 688, and they're shooting in the 270s. I mean, that's very good for kids to start out right away. Christine shot a 276. She actually shot higher than the high school girls. So these kids get very good at this. Rachel Anderson was one of our top 5, Tony Simon, and Brian Goins. And so you can I listed the top 5 because there were 3 girls and there were 2 boys. Now on the high school level, he was the opposite. He had 5 guys that were his top 5. Riley Osgood was 11th. He was 6th in the 12th grade boys category. Daniel Miller was 3rd in the 11th grade boys category. And they're shooting about 280 something. So, the kids do seem to get better, as they get older. But it's very impressive. You think it would stop after high school? It doesn't. You mentioned we have a shooter who, Libby Mitchum was one of our first archers in the very beginning, and she actually is shooting at Case Western. It just surprises me. I mean, that was something that was so important to her. Here she is at Case Western, and she's shooting archery. Impressive. Megan Biesecker was 5th in the Nationals in 2012. She was awarded a scholarship for Cumberland. She decided to decline, and Urbana offered her a scholarship for archery too. She wanted to stay a little bit closer to home, so she came back to Urbana. So there's scholarships out there for these kids to get, and a lot of lives are being touched. It's impressive. It just gets better every year, it seems.
Is it a fall sport?
It's an all-year thing. They actually shoot usually the last week in February, the first week in March. We start getting the kids out in October.
Okay.
It's funny, we'll hear kids when they come to school in September, they will say, kids that we don't know that are coming in as 7th graders, over the summer, I went to the tackle shack so I could be on the team. I mean, these kids look forward to it. They really look forward to it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is this where kids get their first exposure to this usually? In
A lot
junior
of
high?
times, yeah, a lot of times they do. And that's what kind of makes you really proud to think, gosh, they're going on scholarships to college, with this, and we did expose them to that. And, even the kids, like I said, who maybe aren't on the competitive, they didn't get to go to state or national, they keep coming. They keep coming, they keep practicing, they'll go to the tackle shack, try to get better when we don't have practice, and they'll do a lot on their own. Our practices are at 6:45 in the morning, so they're committed and their parents are committed. Yeah.
Barb, the neat part, when I went to a few of the competitions, is that they use the same bow, right?
Yeah.
So all the kids have to use the same bow. So when you go there, you see tall, short. I mean, every body build you can
Big
imagine
variety.
is there shooting, because it's all equal up. And there'll be people that do competitive, go out and hunt. I've seen that those kids are pretty amazed too. They get on that bow and they have the same bow as everybody else, and they get pretty nervous, even though they've probably been shooting a bow forever. And I remember going to the first one I saw in Columbus. Those 2 guys been shooting, and they were really into hunting, and they had to compete, and it was a whole new world
It's
for
a
them.
different ballgame.
Yeah, but
And
they
it's a
loved it.
different environment, the competitive environment. They are standing in front of a exposition center with thousands of people. And when we go to nationals, every state's represented. Some of these, people fly their teams there, and I mean, it's big time. And our kids, are very nervous, and they have to be very composed to keep themselves in check. And I think it's a very good experience for them.
Very good.
And I want to thank you. You have, our administration has supported us 100%, Matt at junior high. I mean, they've given us the confidence to go ahead and do what we do, and we thank you. I really think it's worthwhile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Mr. Moore.
It's not near as exciting as
Band,
London trip.
archery.
What great activities for our kids, and what nice things to hear. I'd like to give you guys an update on our Race to the Top progress. The biggest news that we have for Race to the Top since we last met was on February 14th, we had our waiver day. And I would call it a very nice success for our district. I had the opportunity to attend many of the sessions. I received positive feedback on the sessions, and also much positive feedback on the opportunity for grade level teams and department level teams to meet to discuss where they are curriculum-wise and pacing, also on student learning objectives as well. Topics range from STEM, technology usage, IET procedures, English as a second language procedures, and again, just an opportunity for teachers to get together to talk about where they are with teaching this first year, the new standards and the new curriculum, which of course you guys approved last spring, last summer. Looking back upon that, it was a very good day. A lot of positive things came out of that for our staff. Also in Race to the Top, we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of the 270 Chromebooks that I spoke to you about. We're also anxiously awaiting procedures from the state regarding year 5 funding on Race to the Top. That's out there, but we're still waiting on some details on what that may include for the district to access those funds as well for the 5th year. As I move around the buildings, I'm sure Mr. Seifring back there could attest, our staff and principals are in the second cycle of the OTES process, and hear a lot of positive feedback that as we are in the second cycle, people have a much greater familiarity with the process and procedure and the expectations. Also with that is the tie-in of student learning objectives and student learning measurements coming to a close there, and people getting an idea of see where the kids were when they started this with their baseline testing and where the kids are now. But a lot of that going on, a lot of that coming to a close. Our people have done a really nice job, I think, of tackling that new process and trying to learn as much as they can about it, and our principals, teachers as well. Everyone's done a nice job with that as we move closer. Looking ahead in the next few months, the really big thing is you've heard me talk about field testing for PARC and for ODE. And that is upon us. It'll be coming at us sooner than we think. 7 of our 9 buildings will be participating in some form, either online testing or paper pencil testing. So we are looking forward. We're excited to see what those tests look like and see how it compares to what we've done previously, and hopefully allow us to get an idea not only as we prepare our students instructionally, but also for the technology aspect, the computers, the wireless capability, just everything to be prepared for future online testing. Our next Race to the Top meeting is March 21st. At that meeting, we will hopefully be at a spot where we're getting closer to finalize anything with student learning objectives, discuss the future usage of funds, also where people are on the OTES process, and keep moving forward with these initiatives to help Troy City Schools. Any questions that I can answer? Aaron, anything you'd like to add to that? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Lucas.
All right, thanks for the presentations. Next on our agenda is the first hearing of the public. If anyone in the audience wishes to address the board regarding anything on the agenda, please stand, state your name, and give us your address, and tell us what you'd like to talk about. Seeing none, we will move to our treasurer's report. First is consideration of the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on Monday, February 10th, 2014 as Exhibit A. Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved. Second.
Any references to pick one? This one, Doug?
Thanks.
Yeah, I just-
I didn't see
any-
any.
Didn't see any this time?
Out of mind.
All right. We'll let that just this time. Any corrections to the minutes? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Reeves?
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Trussell?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. Next, I'd like to address our financial report. It's referenced as Exhibit B, and it includes the February SM2 report, the monthly total revenue report, monthly total expenditure, monthly ending balance, schedule revenues, expenditure of changes in fund balances, five-year forecast appropriations account summary, and our investment schedule. And please get a motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Price, is there anything you would like to go over?
Highlight a couple items on the SM2. As we talked in prior months, the income tax continues to increase. We're nearly $210,000 better than a year ago at this time. Also, our insurance benefits, mainly the medical insurance claims, still remain low to this point, as well as our expenditures on purchase services and supplies and materials. So when I bring the five-year forecast in May, as long as this trend continues, you should see a noticeable benefit on the bottom line. We hope that that continues so I can report that way.
Are there any other questions or discussions on the financials? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Trussell?
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves?
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. Next is the approval of tax rates. Ohio Revised Code 5705.34 requires that the Board of Education and other local government approve tax rates on an annual basis after they have been approved by the County Budget Commission. On February 20th of 2014, the Miami County Budget Commission certified the following tax rates. I'd like to get a motion to approve the tax rates.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Price, if you would shed some light on this?
Yes. This is an annual resolution, as Mr. Lucas mentioned, based upon what the County Budget Commission certified to us back in February. We have to approve this and get this back in by a date in April, back to them so we have proper certification for audit purposes. I laid before you a comparison of 2014 to 2013, for which we are currently collecting on. 2014 will be fiscal year 15 collections. As I mentioned in a prior board meeting, our district valuation had decreased. As a result, with the inside millage, the top line, the 4.5 mils, that collection dollar amount has dropped by a little over $140,000. When your valuation drops, like it did with this tax year in particular, the effective millage rates are then adjusted up or down based upon what your district valuation did. So everything beyond the top line, the effective millage rate actually increased, and you'll see the result of that in order to collect the dollars that we had requested originally with those property tax issues. You'll see the general fund has increased $230,000 with those effective rates, along with any new construction that may have taken place. This tax year involves the re-eval district-wide for the county overall, and that is taken into consideration with any new construction or building improvements. Bond retirement, that is set by the debt schedule. The county auditor looks at our debt schedule, the amount of bond debt outstanding needs to be repaid for the current, or for 2014 tax year. So that rate has been adjusted upward in order to meet that debt schedule. Capital improvement, we just renewed that, and that stayed relatively the same. They certified to us back when we put that on the ballot last November, and that's what the amount that they certified will bring in. And then you have the two issues associated with Hayner, for which we are their fiscal agents, so that's put on ours, and they will see a hit of almost $26,000 less than a year ago. Any questions?
When you show like the general fund tax year 14, then that is collected in 15, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Should see some of those numbers in the 5-year forecast, as well as the tax budget going forward.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Price. Roll call, please.
Mr. Trossel?
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves?
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. Next on our agenda is a then and now. This is where we have purchase orders that have not been approved. However, the fiscal officer, Mr. Price, has certified that he has approved those, as long as we have had the funds available, and they are still available once we approve. I'd like to get a motion for the board to retroactively approve the purchase orders. There are 7 of them, totaling $1,218.78.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please. Oh, excuse me.
Any questions?
Yes. Any questions, comments? I'm sorry. It looks like a couple of these are for a couple bus trips.
Yes. We didn't have, buildings forgot to put their request in when they scheduled the trip, and were reminded of that when they received the invoice from our office.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Trussell?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. Next on our agenda is our superintendent's report. Mr. Herman, I'd like to turn it over to you, please.
Yeah, our monthly donations, it's a big number, but it's because of the 2 substantial checks there, and you've seen the one was presented here from Mayor Health Partner for $75,000. And since then, we got another check in for $97,000 from Honda. But if you look back at the others, there's a lot of boosters and folks moving money into the scholarship funds. It's that time of year, so there's a lot of that going on. But it's a big month in total. $188,747.98. So it's inflated the year total a little bit, because in past we may have not put those big checks in there. But to get a more accurate what's actually coming in, we've started putting those in.
So the American Honda, that's part of their tax.
In essence, yes.
Okay. And so we wouldn't have put this in last year.
We've not-
We
I
didn't-
don't
we
believe
didn't
we've done that.
classify it
We
as a
showed that as
gift.
contributions
Right.
in the past, right?
So why the change?
It just from the standpoint of the money came in before and we would just put it in. Now it comes in and it really comes out of a donation that they make to us, so it fits the bill as far as it's a donation for us to use as we see fit. I
Makes
mean,
us more aware of the contribution.
Yeah, I have no issue with how we're classifying it now at all. I guess my only thing is what we try to do around, May or June, is we try to look back to see if our gifts from the previous year have increased or decreased, and it's gonna make it hard for the first year to do an apples to apples. So if we could kind of look at that. I have no problem with how we're classifying it.
We could run a total on
But it would
what
be
those
nice to be able to-
unusual, because it basically
Well,
be the
no.
ConAgra,
Yeah,
the
to-
American Honda, and the.
To do it without that, just to
Premier.
see where we are year to date compared to years past, because as I recall, last year, we were up a lot from the previous fiscal year, and it would be nice to see if that trend has continued or not continued, so, okay.
That shouldn't be a problem, but these checks do come in under the donation, so.
Oh,
they-
absolutely.
They're under no obligation
Yeah.
to do that, they're just being a good.
And then where
Yes,
does
ma'am.
this money go? This just goes to our general fund?
Yes.
Right?
The UVMC goes into its own fund, and that's used for
Athletics. Yeah, because a lot of these are directed, but the American Honda
American
is
is
just.
not directed, neither is
and
the Con Ag.
ConAgra, right.
Those are general funds.
Yes.
Those are just general fund, okay.
But it's kind of nice to make sure they get some recognition for the fact they are doing that and
Absolutely, yep, yep. Yep.
I have a motion to accept the gifts as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Reeves,
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mr. Trussell,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. And we will continue to thank those who have given us gifts as we have in the past, correct?
yes.
Next is a request for non-routine use of buses. In the past, this has happened on an annual basis where the Strawberry Festival has requested to use our buses. This year, it'll be on June 7th and 8th. The Strawberry Festival Committee will pay all the costs associated to the bus. May I have a motion to approve the non-routine use of buses?
So moved.
Second.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes, yes, we've done it for several years now.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Trussell,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves,
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish,
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. Next on our agenda is the personnel items. Attached as Exhibit C are the March personnel items. You've had a chance to review them. May I please have a motion to approve the personnel items?
So moved. Second?
Mrs. Stout, anything that you would like to talk about in this area?
No, so far we've had 10 teacher retirements this year, 1 administrative and 5 classified. Cookson is probably the school that's going to undergo the most change. They have 5 teachers, their building secretary and their librarian, so they are really going to be seeing some new staff members next year.
Sure. Okay.
Now, when we have positions open in a building, do we allow staff members to express an interest in other
Yes.
buildings? Or okay, I thought we did, but I just wanted to clarify. So 10 teachers, 1 administrator.
5 classified so far.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Beamish,
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves,
Yes.
Mr. Trussell,
Yes.
Mr. Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. This brings us to the second hearing of the public. If anyone wishes to address the board on anything that is not on the agenda, please stand, state your name, and give us your address.
Kathy, do you want to give us any insight into your next initiative? You got a sale pending here?
Oh, we do. We are selling mattresses. Is that the sale?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Caught my eye.
We are selling mattresses on April 26th in Troy High School. I want to say it's 9 to 3, but you caught me off guard. A number of schools have been doing this. In fact, Centerville, it's so popular there that like they have 2 or 3 organizations do it.
Really?
So you can come in, it's a mattress showroom, you can try them out, they'll deliver them to your house. And we're gonna try it out and see what it's all about.
Decent fundraiser?
We hope so.
I mean, for the effort put into it?
We've never, we've never tried it, so we'll see what happens afterwards, but something a little different than donuts.
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone else? This brings us to, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn into executive session. The purpose of the executive session is preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Trussell?
Yes.
Mrs. Reeves?
Yes.
Mrs. Beamish?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes. I will say that no official business will be voted on as we are in executive session.